This is about good versus evil. This is a storybook, any movie we've ever watched, this is definitely evil against good.
65 days. That's the number of days it took from the first assassination attempt of Donald Trump to the most recent one in Florida. It's only been less than 1 week from the debate on ABC between former President Donald Trump and Vice President Kamala Harris. And that person in the video that I showed was a shooter in the most recent attempt on Donald Trump's life. And here's something that I really want to highlight, guys. Vivek Ramaswamy, he warned that something drastic might happen if Trump won that debate. Now, we're also getting new information about the shooter. He's also alive, by the way, so I hope to get some answers throughout our talk. But listen to what Vivek Ramaswamy talked about just some time ago. And guys, before we get started, please take a second, hit the like button for the video. Thank you so much for showing your support. Thank you for always subscribing to the channel and making sure you're still subscribed. Let's go ahead and get started.
One thing I want to caution against, Sean, is exactly what happened in June. What I expect is that Donald Trump will once again run circles around Kamala Harris, just as he did with Joe Biden in that last debate. The question is that going to be good for us in winning this election or not? Because last time around, it was the catalyst for something drastic happening afterwards, which is in that case, swapping out Joe Biden as the nominee. And I think if Kamala Harris really does tank in this debate, and I think there's a decent chance that happens, I think there are strange things that could happen between now and November.
Now, of course, he could have been talking about something completely different. It could be about the Democrats suddenly leaving the rules by the door and then changing their nominee at the last second. But it goes to show that we are indeed in some very troubled political weather right now. After the attempt on Donald Trump's life at his golf course in West Beach, Florida, a U.S. Secret Service spokesperson summed up the shooting in 5 words: "We live in dangerous times." It's also alarming to know the reason as to how the shooter got so close to Trump.
He's not the sitting president. If he was, we would have had this entire golf course around it. The Secret Service did exactly what they should have done.
The agency has added personnel to Mr. Trump's protective detail since the Butler shooting, and they're also including more bulletproof glass at certain outdoor events. Lawmakers in both parties praising the Secret Service for its quick response while questioning whether more should be done.
We need to be taking a serious look at whether we are allocating resources correctly. Do we need more Secret Service agents?
The idea that there has been 2 attempts and they have been able to get close enough to the former president is deeply disturbing. I'm concerned that Donald Trump is actually not safe.
Trump himself has commented on the incident. Posting on Truth Social, the former president called out the Harris-Biden administration as well as those in the left. He says that the rhetoric, lies, as exemplified by false statements made by comrade Kamala Harris during the rigged and highly partisan ABC debate and all the ridiculous lawsuits specifically designed to inflict damage on Joe's, then Kamala's, political opponent, me, has taken politics in our country to a whole new level of hatred, abuse, and distrust. Because of this communist left rhetoric, the bullets are flying, and it will only get worse, allowing millions of people from places unknown to invade and take over our country in an unpardonable sin. But is he correct in saying that the left is lying and pushing for a violent rhetoric? Here's Hillary Clinton with her point of view regarding Donald Trump.
Journalists should, really try to achieve objectivity. And by that, he said, I mean, they should cover the object. Well, the object in this case is Donald Trump, his demagoguery, his danger to our country and the world, and stick with it. They were merciless about what they saw as President Biden's, problems in the debate.
Do you think that this kind of messaging is uncalled for? Because she probably knows what she's doing by calling Trump a danger to our country and how Trump and the right were supposedly merciless towards Biden after their debate. This is the kind of rhetoric that they continue to spread out to the people. And just to remind you guys, there was a Secret Service whistleblower who said that there was going to be another attempt at Trump's life after the one in Pennsylvania. He called out Secret Service supervisors for not doing their jobs despite knowing better. This whistleblower predicted that with this leadership, another attempt on Donald Trump's life was inevitable. And he was right. Someone was bound to listen to this nonsense and take a shot. And there's unsettling news coming out regarding the shooter. Unlike Thomas Crooks, who's now been forgotten as he doesn't have very much of an online presence, Ryan Wesley Ruth is a different case.
I'm looking for revolutionaries. Whatever people want to take this whole system down.
A 58-year-old is on the campus at Harvard University in 2022 trying to recruit volunteers to fight in Ukraine. Now a profile is emerging of a man obsessed with firearms and the war in Ukraine. He has a record 74 arrests for firearms, explosives, and other offenses. In 2002, he fled cops after he was pulled over for driving without a license and barricaded himself in his office for 3 hours with a machine gun in his hometown of Greensboro, North Carolina.
Now, besides the AK-47 that he poked through a chain-link fence at Donald Trump's golf course in Florida and then left at the scene, Ruth also brought 2 GoPros. Now, you gotta wonder, did he plan to film this assassination and then maybe upload it online? Authorities have already raided the North Carolina home of the shooter. Now, we're not sure if they found anything there yet, although I did see something in his house in Hawaii. A beat-up truck was parked outside with a Hunter Biden sticker on its rear bumper. Coincidence? Maybe it's not his truck, but it's hard to come up with a different notion when his own son admits that his father hates Donald Trump. He says that he hates Donald Trump like all reasonable people do. Ruth's son also said that he doesn't like Trump. Now, this is kind of scary. Will his son carry out what his father failed to do? This is how he described Ryan Wesley Ruth. Quote, "He's not a violent person. He's a hard worker and a great dad. He's a great dude, a nice guy, and has worked his whole freaking life. I hate this game every 4 years and think that we all do. And if my father wants to be a martyr to how broken and disassociated the process has become, then that's his choice." End quote. Wow, this guy's as deranged, if not worse, than his dad. Now, his social media is being cleaned out overnight. From Facebook to X, this guy's online footprint is being removed from public access. Although some screenshots were saved, which says a whole lot about his point of view. In a tweet from 2020, Ruth admitted to voting for Donald Trump in 2016. But after a few years under the former president, he says that he was greatly disappointed. And he ended it by saying that he'll be glad when Donald Trump is gone. Now, this could mean 2 totally different things, but it's apparent that he meant it in a specific way here. This is only further proven by the fact that his history is riddled with felony convictions.
By way of his background, in 2002, as the United States Attorney mentioned, the subject was charged and convicted in North Carolina for possession of a weapon of mass destruction. Law enforcement checks also revealed that from 1997 to 2010, the subject had numerous felony charges for stolen goods. I can also share with you that he was the subject of a previously closed 2019 tip to the FBI where it was alleged he was a felon in possession of a firearm. In following up on the tip, the alleged complainant was interviewed and did not verify, I repeat, did not verify providing the initial information. The FBI passed that information to local law enforcement in Honolulu.
He also published a book in which he told Iran, "You are free to assassinate Trump." Is it surprising to know that even with all of this, the guy remained free and unbothered by the likes of the FBI? There's also the matter of him knowing where Donald Trump was going to be on a certain day at a specific point in time, given that he camped his spot for 12 hours. Which now brings me to what Vice President Kamala Harris is saying about this assassination attempt. In an email sent to his fundraising list after this attempt on his life, Trump confirmed that he was safe. He added that nothing will slow me down. I will never surrender. That last part was in all caps, by the way. Now, at this point, we've been informed by law enforcement officials that at least one suspect is in custody. And just to kind of get this out the way, the first thing that Donald Trump did when he got back to the clubhouse was check on everybody. He wanted to know if everyone who was with him was safe. And I think that really speaks volumes about his character because the left has painted him as a selfish narcissist. AOC even said that Donald Trump would sell out the country for a mere $1. Do you really think that AOC is right in her assessment of former President Trump? Now, all of this is happening as Kamala Harris is struggling in the polls, even though they want you to believe that she won the debate.
We ain't got jobs here for them and really ain't got housing here for them.
Some people in Sylacauga have concerns about the Haitians in their small town and how they are being brought here.
Stop giving them money, not my taxpayer money. I mean, if anybody deserves it, it's our veterans and, it's the people on the streets.
I don't have anything against them. To me, it's all in God's hands. But I know that our little town has, a lot of people that need shelter and people that, hungry out here.
People would like more transparency.
I just think, we all need to know what's going on around here.
State Representative Ben Robbins says the largest population of Haitians in Talladega County are in Sylacauga. It's unknown how many.
Because we do not know how many people are here, you can't definitively say how all of them got here. Some might have come by a federal program. Some might have come by a van load in the promise of work. Some might have driven their car here because their cousin was here. So it is probably a mixture of a lot of things. But because we have no way of monitoring, we have no way of answering that question.
Robbins sent a letter to the Secretary of Homeland Security demanding answers.
I think we as a community are entitled to answers as to these basic questions on where people working, why did they get here, how are they being supported.
Robbins says it's unfair to the community that doesn't have the resources and in turn is unfair to the immigrants too.
Well guys, the great wealth transfer is in full effect. And you know, whether it's Donald Trump that ends up winning the election or if it's Kamala Harris, oh God, we're in a world of a pickle, as my grandfather would say. Our freedoms are being stolen, guys. Credit card companies are out to get us. And if you don't understand the game, well, you end up getting played by the game. Now, if you're anything like me, guys, you know, you were probably out of shape, maybe in debt, living paycheck to paycheck, and just feeling like the system is just completely taking advantage of you. I remember for a long time, I could rarely ever get any time to spend with my wife. And it's kind of funny because where I used to work with a lot of married men. And a lot of those married men would always complain about their spouses as if they really just didn't even like their spouses, which is sounding like a pretty horrible situation. But that was the case for many of them. They didn't like who they were married to. But I was different. Anyway, through trial and error and through a lot of pain, I figured out how to gain freedom and also lose a lot of weight and actually get in shape. And guys, I'm gonna be honest with you, that was a game changer. To no longer be living paycheck to paycheck, figuring out how to get the credit cards to pay me, the power of a strong credit score. I pay thousands of dollars less per year for the same house as my neighbor just because my credit is better than his is. And this is not to brag. I mean, but this is the truth. The banks are literally taking advantage of the poor. It's like the people who can least afford it, they're charging the poor what is like unofficially called a poor tax or a tax on the poor. I mean, I'm now at a point where, you know, like, number one, I don't pay for credit cards. In fact, credit card companies pay me to use their cards. And I figured out how to build a lifestyle that is just ultimately very, very healthy. I lost a tremendous amount of weight and I put on a lot of muscle. But when I was struggling, I wish I knew people who knew these things. So anyway, I decided to create a community of like-minded people who are also interested, just like me, in living better. So if you guys want to join my community, it's called the Liberty Pursuit Network. It is brand new. Come on over. I'd love to have you guys and join like-minded people. Be positively motivated by others who are also on the same pursuit. So I'm going to leave a link for you guys so you can join me over on the Life Pursuit Network in the description down below this video. So check it out, guys, and let's not be a victim of this great wealth transfer that is taking place right now. They are pushing away U.S. citizens who even dare to ask about aliens living in our country. Now, what's really sad is that they're making this about race when it's clearly about legalities and how people enter the United States, not to mention how they're behaving once they get here. Now, we know for a fact that under the Harris-Biden administration, millions upon millions have poured into this country. None of them have gone through the legal aspect of becoming a part of our community. And yet we have people in office who would literally silence local residents because they're starting to ask the right questions.
I have to say the attitude of the council with reference to this is entirely unacceptable. Do we know where the individuals we're discussing are coming from? Where their point of origin is? Because you're treating them like lawful U.S. citizens, which they are not.
Okay, so I'm going to cut it off because we've had 3 people to come up. I'm going to cut it off because we have no reason, again, we have no reason to launch an investigation or to treat people differently because of how they look. There's no reason for it.
Who said that?
Well, that's just what I'm saying. I just said that. Tiffany just said that.
Okay,
so
I didn't say that.
But I said it. But there's no reason for us to discuss this any further.
These individuals came from Haiti.
Are valid concerns that we need to How are valid concerns, Laura? People come here all the time.
These people came here from Haiti. Haiti is a failed state. Their president was assassinated in 2021. There is no way the State Department can vet these individuals.
We're done, and I'm going to ask this.
Please let him talk.
You had to shut up. I was very specific. Okay, I'm going to ask all of you to leave. because this meeting is over.
Now, this is the message that they want to send to you. Your voice is useless if you start asking questions regarding their methods. And just to add, since this is part of a longer video, the city council openly admitted that they weren't aware as to how these thousands of illegal immigrants entered the Saluga. Now, as you guys heard, they had to stop the third man who asked them about it because they wanted to understand why these officials haven't asked higher offices as to why and how these people are coming in. Their argument is that these are individuals who are spending money in Salakaga, so they're welcome here. But another resident also asked why she kept seeing these same people just kind of hanging around when it's a work day. Because for us, we need to work for our money, right? And these locals made some really good points. But what did the city council do? Oh, they ended the meeting right then and there. And I believe that some are now realizing the truth behind the lies being spread about these illegal immigrants. The council argues that they're hardworking individuals who are important to the community, but that doesn't seem to be the case for all of them. All right, so basically President Joe Biden visited a firehouse in Shanksville, near where passengers and crew members of Flight 93 died on September 11, 2001, after interrupting the hijacking of their plane and crashing into a field that day. The Flight 93 National Memorial held its 23rd annual observance in Shanksville to commemorate the passengers and the crew of that flight. Now, as you guys saw, Biden was speaking with a man wearing a Trump hat and offering to trade him his own hat with the presidential seal on it for the Trump hat. Some funny back and forth happened when the man asked Biden if he remembered his name. Biden replied that he doesn't remember and he's slow. Yeah, for real, guys. I know he was joking, but this may not be that far from the truth. But yeah, guys, the real viral moment happened when President Biden put the hat on his head, drawing claps and cheers from the crowd. But what came out of Biden's mouth next raised some eyebrows among the people. He said to the crowd, "Remember, no eating cats or dogs." This after claims that President Donald Trump made during his speech with Vice President Kamala Harris on Tuesday that Haitian migrants in Ohio were eating residents' pets, cats, and dogs. Officials say that there have been no credible detailed reports about the claims. But see, guys, the claims started from a social media post in Springfield, Ohio. The post described how someone's neighbor's daughter's friends suddenly saw a cat hanging from a tree, about to be butchered and eaten, while also alleging that Haitians lived in the house. Alongside the post was a photo showing a man holding what looked to be like a Canada goose by its feet. And although officials have stated that there's no credible evidence supporting these claims, Ohio's Republican Governor Mike DeWine has announced he'll be funneling resources to help ease the influx of some 20,000 Haitian migrants that have arrived in the city of Springfield legally under the Biden-Harris administration in the last several years. So what does that really say to you guys? Now, of course, I did a video just recently. Go to my channel, check it out. Forget if it was a live or video, but I think it was actually a live video where I discussed this. Actually, it was a live. Click on the live tab. You will see a lot of confirmed details about Haitian migrants eating cats and dogs and people's pets in the Springfield, Ohio area. Mainstream media didn't want you to know about it, but I brought the truth to you guys. Definitely hit the channel, click on the lives, and look at that video and you tell me what's really going on. What are they trying to hide? But guys, let's go back to this whole ABC presidential debate, all right? Rumors were flying around recently that an ABC whistleblower was ready to come out with an affidavit about the Harris campaign cheating in the presidential debate. The X account, Black Insurrectionist, a self-described MAGA supporter, posted saying, "I will be releasing an affidavit from an ABC whistleblower regarding the debate. I have just signed a non-disclosure agreement with the attorney of the whistleblower. The affidavit states how the Harris campaign was given sample questions, which were essentially the same questions that were given during the debate, and separate assurances of fact-checking Donald Trump that she would not be fact-checked." End quote. True enough, guys, the ABC News moderators, Lindsey Davis and David Muir, fact-checked Donald Trump at least 5 times, while never fact-checking Kamala Harris, despite her telling lies and half-truths that have been widely fact-checked as being false. And let's not forget Kamala Harris is very close friends with Dana Walden, co-chairman of Disney Entertainment, which oversees Disney's full portfolio of entertainment media, including ABC News. Not to mention the debate moderator, Lindsey Davis, had previously boasted on air about literally being Kamala Harris's sorority sister. Tell me you're being biased without telling me you're being biased. So yeah, there could definitely be a lot of truth to this rumor, guys. Now, guys, I told my uncle about this. He said, would you expect anything less from Harris? Downright disgraceful is what my uncle said about Vice President Kamala Harris. I mean, I remember when on 2 separate occasions, former CNN contributor Donna Brazil, she tipped off Clinton campaign ahead of time on questions to expect during events on the news network. Y'all remember that, right? I remember. Now, guys, I cover her shocking statement in a previous live stream that you have to watch after this one. As always, guys, appreciate you guys being here. Thank you for keeping yourselves informed. Thank you for hitting the like button and subscribing to the channel. I'll see you guys on the next one.